Hello and welcome to Ice Dice. My name's Evan and this is Mike.
Hello!
And today we're doing a review of Medieval Academy. Medieval Academy's from Yellow Games. It's for 2 to 5 players and it's roughly 30 minutes. I think it's a little bit longer than that. The theme is that you're knights competing for various things. The main mechanics are that it's card drafting and then area scoring. So the way it works is that they have these boards. I'll go over what they each do a little bit later. But everybody has a score marker on each of those boards, and there's a score track that goes all the way around. There's a deck of cards that has a suit that matches each one of those boards, or there's one that matches more than one. And then what you'll do is you'll deal each player 5 cards. Everybody will keep 1 card and then pass the rest of them to the next player. Then you'll keep one of those 4, and you'll keep going until everybody has 4 cards. Then in turn order, you'll play your cards one at a time and then move them on the score track. One of the things about this game, though, is that not every board is resolved every turn. There are 4 boards that are resolved every round, 1 board that is only resolved on the 3rd and 6th final round, and 2 boards that are only resolved on the 6th and final round. In addition, some of the boards after the 3rd round, all their scores reset to 0. So let's take a look at each of these boards a little bit more closely. So the first board that's resolved is the gallantry board. This allows the people at the top of the score to move their marker on the other score tracks. Whoever's in 3rd place first will go down to one of the other boards and move one of their markers up 1 space. Whoever's in 2nd place will move a marker up 2 spaces. And whoever's in 1st will move one up 3 spaces. The joust and tournament boards, these boards work a little bit differently than the other boards in that there is just 1 suit shared for each of these 2 boards. So whenever you play that suit, you can choose to move your marker on either the joust board or the tournament board. Whenever they're resolved, each one will resolve separately. Whoever's in 1st place will get 3 points. Whoever's in 2nd place will get 2nd points. Whoever's in 3rd place will get 1 point. This board is the education board. This is one that you don't gain points. Whoever's in last place will get a -3 token. Whoever's in 2nd to last place will get a -1 token. Those are the 4 boards that resolve every round. The King's Service board will only resolve after the 3rd and 6th round, and the way this one works is everybody that moved their marker at least up to the number 6 spot will earn 6 points, and everybody that moved their marker up to at least the 12 spot will get 12 points. These last 2 boards are only resolved at the end of the game. The first one, the quests, whoever has moved their marker the farthest on this score track will get 17 points. Whoever's moved the 2nd most will get 10 points, and whoever's moved the 3rd most will get 4 points. And the last one is the charity board. Whoever's contributed the least to charity will get a -10 token, and whoever contributed the 2nd least, it gets -5. One last thing to mention is that the way these One last thing to mention is if 2 or more markers are on the same spot, whoever's at the top is considered ahead of those below them, and that's how the tie is broken. So you'll play 6 rounds, then you'll look at all your tokens and add them up, and whoever has the most points win. So that's pretty much how it plays. One thing I did notice when I was playing is it almost plays like an area majority game, where, something like El Grande, where you're trying to get pieces into a particular area, and whoever's got the most gets this, whoever's got the 2nd most gets that. They could have made this exact same game and done it instead of moving around a track, you're actually putting pieces in there. But I'm glad they didn't, because I think if they would have done that, they would have added more complexity, because then they would have said, oh, we should have a way to remove pieces, or we should have a way to move pieces from one area to another. So I think this works with the score track.
Yeah, and each individual thing is kind of, say, focus here, focus here, focus here. They could do that with an area majority, but it kind of tends to, the boards are individual, so focus on this board, then focus on that board. So I think maybe that's what they're going for. Yeah, but that's
area majority. Focus on this area or focus on that area.
Yeah, but the boards are, I guess, yeah, you're right.
Every area just. I think the thing that what it does by having the score track is that with area majority games, when you start to get a lot of people in there, you don't know exactly where you fall unless you take the time to count them. Whereas this, you always know exactly what spot you're in.
Yeah. So the thing impressed me or was impressive upon me when I was playing this game is it's not necessary when you're doing the card drafting. It's not necessarily in your best interest to take the highest card, even though it's like game playing 101. You would say, oh, I'm just going to take the highest card because I'll play that and I might run up the thing. I might run up the track. The thing. Sorry, I'll run up the track. But that might not be in your best interest because you're drafting the cards, and when you're drafting the cards, you might pay attention to the fact that, oh, there's a lot of this suit in the game, so if I keep this card that's highest in this suit, it might not necessarily have the effect I think it has because a lot of people are going to be playing that suit. So that's a thing that was I thought was interesting.
No, I think you're right. I didn't actually notice that, but you're right, now that you say it, is that you do, because you know that every card is going to get played, so if there's a lot of a suit, that kind of does devalue the high suits. You'd almost rather have a medium one, where it's the only card you see, than one that's high, but there's a lot of them. The other thing is that the order of the card play can matter, because it's whoever ends up on top is ahead of the people below. Especially on some of these where where you could have a choice of cards to play in, and that gallantry board, because you might not want to let people know which one you're going to play and play a little bit later in those. Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, that's actually true for a lot of them, like the -1. Oh, make it seem like, oh yeah, I'm safe, and then on your last card you play a big one to move ahead.
Yeah, but you don't want to fall too far behind, and that brings me to the point of the gallantry track. And the gallantry track is seductive, yet not ultimately rewarding. You'd think, because the first couple of times I played this, I was focusing on gallantry track, because if you're first on the gallantry track, you get to jump ahead in any of these remaining spots. And I thought, yeah, I played that like a sneak attack, like, oh boy, I'll just fade everybody. On here, I'll be a little bit behind. I'll put a bunch of guys on the gallantry track, and I'll jump way ahead. But I'm spending way too much to jump up 3, and it wasn't worth it in the ultimate. So the allure, it's a seductive. Well, I guess that's why they labeled it as such. It's a seductive track, but it might not be that rewarding.
It is one of those things though in this game. I do think you have to pick your poison. Do I want to work on the gallantry track? Do I want to compete on the gallantry track, or do I want to ignore that one and focus on other things? And that's actually true, because in one of the last games I played on the charity one where you get -10.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the whole game, I just said I'm accepting that I get -10 because it gave me more stuff to work around. It's the same thing on the gallantry track, especially when you're playing with like 5 players, is that if 3 people are competing hard for it, you might just want to ignore it. But you're right in that one is often an alluring one, because it does give you that sneak attack, as you say, where, hey, no matter what you do on the board, I got 3 spots I'm going to move that no one else gets. One of the other things I do kind of like about this game is the way that some of these boards score every round, but then there's also this one that only scores on the 3rd round. And the other thing is that after that 3rd round scoring, all those 5 boards reset to 0, and you're starting over again. I like that aspect of it.
I like that aspect too, but it's a classic gameplay 101. If you do concentrate on what other people aren't doing, you'll probably do well.
Well, that is part of it. It's figuring out what's worth it to invest in, and it's like almost. Well, I said it was an area journey game. It's almost like a stock game too. It's like, which ones do I invest in, and which ones do I ignore?
Yeah, but you can't deny the fact that these components are really great, and the individual boards are pretty, and the theme is if the components relate the theme, like you have to, in order to be a good knight, you have to be gallant, and you have to be brave, and you have to be educated, and you have to look after the king and fight a dragon, and actually look after the poor people in the world. So the components on this are good.
Yeah, you're right. The components are really good. This light art style matches the light gameplay, but it is actually pretty abstract. I mean, it's like, you say, oh yeah, you have to help the poor, you have to help the king. You're just moving a disc on a track. That's all there really is to it. But that's okay. I mean, it's fine. I mean, there really is no difference between the boards except what you get at the end, but that's not that big a deal.
No, it's not big a deal, and it does lend itself to being a little bit more AP for what it is, because especially in later rounds of the game, there is optimal play that you can, because you can look at the study of the track and you can see what's being scored on next, and there's a card in here that's definitely going to help you out versus another card, and that means there's a little too much AP for the lightweight nature of the game, I think.
I don't agree. I don't think there really is. Because you only have a limited amount of choices. You only have 5 cards in your hand, so I haven't found that people think too much. Not so much on the card choosing. If anywhere, it would be which card do I play first. I mean, I think that, but even then, I wouldn't call this an AP prone game by any stretch. There is some luck and randomness to it, though, in that your card draws and what cards you get past. But it's all about, again, it's dealing with what you have to deal with and picking your poison and trying to figure out, well, based on what I have, where should I compete, where should I not compete.
You think this would lend itself to replayability? You play with the same people. You think they're going to use the same the same tactics, or in your group you think people are going to mix it up enough that you're going to say, oh, this is I'll play this. Let's play. I don't think this is a game you're playing back to back. Is that what you're?
Oh, I actually think you could, because it is so simple. But yeah, no, I don't think there are any tactics. It's just what score track do you move on. That's pretty much it. But I do think it's replayable in simply that it's just such a simple game. I would play it back to back if I played it once and then other people said I wanted to learn it. There's enough here I would do it again. I wouldn't want to do it. It's not like I'm eager to get it on the table every single time I go out. But they do also have all these cards have a backside to them in which the rewards are slightly changed. But I'll tell you this, as I looked at those, and part of the appeal to me of this game is its simplicity. That it's a fairly simple, you got this number of suits, you draw 5 cards, you keep 1, you move on that score track, and there's enough beat without being complex. The flip sides of the board really do add some complexity, which in my opinion, I've not played any of them, but I just look at it and go, I don't know that really adds much to the game. There is one rule that I actually wouldn't mind using, and that's in that when you reset the score tracks for those ones that score after the 3rd round down to 0, they have a variant where instead of doing that, what you do is whoever's in last place on each track goes back to the 0 spot, second to last goes to the 1 spot, third to last goes to the so that you get a little bit of benefit rather than resetting to 0. But yeah, I did read those variants and I'm like, I think this is a good enough game as it is. So what would you rate this game?
I would rate it at like it. I haven't played it enough. Maybe I'll play it with the right crowd. It might be I'll love it. But I played it with some people who straight up wanted to win the game, and were looking for optimal card play. And that I know you said it doesn't tend to.
You only have 5 cards.
I know, but they were trying.
And then you only have 4 cards. And then you only have 3 cards. There's only so much you can do. It is about just dealing with the mess that you have. But no, I read it like it as well. For what it is, which is a light heading up to medium weight family game. It's one that, some people, if they've never played the card drafting, I did notice them get a little bit confused by it. But if they're all familiar with like Sushi Go or 7 Wonders, that this game, they should be able to pick it up fairly quickly, as long as you have somebody in control saying, okay, now remember we're going to score this one at the end, we're going to reset, that kind of thing. So as a light family game that you can bring out with almost anybody, I give it a like it. And
fair enough.
Yep. Okay, well that's it for this edition. See you again next time.
See ya.